to my eyes, it was much more of a kind of Magnus implosion than it was a Fabiano, masterclass. Fabi's had some really high quality games, and he certainly played very well there. But I thought that Magnus really just got one of his worst positions of the match.
Yeah, agreed. But Fabi gets his second victory against Magnus in the match. If you're just tuning in, it was the first victory he got was the first time he had won in a long time. But he's showing that it wasn't just a token dub he was after. He's keeping the thing close. He's only down a game. Again, it feels like it's been such a tough day for Fabiano, but this is still a very close match. And if you remember our pre-match predictions, Amon, we were predicting in our model that Bullet is basically a coin flip between these two guys. I don't know if that'll pay out. We'll see. But if Fabi can keep this close, then anything can happen.
And I'm just curious if, like, the engine was jumping there. Was there a Queen A5 moment?
Yeah, we have to analyze that real quick. Because there was
assuming not,
on the board.
like these guys probably know the opening, but I think it was it 94?
Well, already here, Bishop D3 was the best move from the computer, not 94. But after 94, you're right. It was Queen A5 instead of Knight to G6 that Fabiano missed, just straight up winning the E5 pawn.
Yeah, and also pinning the knight at the end. Yeah, and so maybe that was missed as a detail, but just funny to see. We've said a few times it hasn't been the highest quality match between them, and just another moment seeing that here, both missing Queen A5, which that absolutely turns the entire opening around.
Yeah, wild. I haven't seen these two guys have mutual blind spots. Again, if you're just tuning in, earlier in the match, there was a move by Magnus, King E7, that walked into a knight fork. Both sides blundering, but also, again, both sides missing the same thing. So it's just not something we're used to seeing with these guys. And here, maybe Fabi needs to realize and remember that Magnus is capable of blundering because he's given him chances today, Amon, both the King E7 blunder I'm referring to and then right there.
Yep, completely agree. If you can get developed with the right tempo, I mean, Queen E5 certainly comes to mind. Queen F5, Bishop D3 is a tempo. I don't know. I mean, there is Bishop to E4 there, but it does look like Queen E5 makes more sense. You want to play F6 next to repel the bishop on G5 and maybe start going after this pawn on D6. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see some setup involving pawn to F3 for white and maybe long castle. That seems to be correct. I definitely like pawn on F3. It deals with the light squared bishop on the diagonal. It stops knight G4. So, also follows that general principle. If you have two bishops, your opponent has one bishop, your pawns generally do well on the same color as that bishop. So we see C4 here. Won't be surprised to see F3, B3 light squares. And just in general, I'm seeing that Magnus, he's starting to, he's not really loving the way that he's played maybe this game, but maybe it's starting to catch up to him that he's just not playing his best.
Well, look at this. Another blunder from Magnus Carlsen and another miss by Fabiano. We don't even have to highlight what it was because the computer did it for us. Bishop takes G2 was winning on the spot right there for Fabiano. We have seen more one-move blunders. I'm going to back up and show it. Yep. We have seen more one-move tactical blunders by these guys than I remember seeing ever in the last match they played. Bishop takes G2, forces white to capture because you're attacking the rook. And the whole idea, everybody, is that D3 is now free, meaning it's safe for the knight to hop in, give a check, and after the fork, you win the bishop on F4. So, wow, like you just don't see these types of one-move gaffes from these guys, and we've seen multiple today.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, it's more common that we see players not take advantage of a Magnus blunder than we see a Magnus blunder, I will say. Magnus does from time to time, make some mistakes, but missing those opportunities, it hurts so much because he doesn't usually offer so many. This is a match where Fabi has missed so many chances. He's just not looking for them. That's the thing. If you tell Fabi, hey, black to move, half a second, he's playing bishop takes G2, but he's just not expecting that the moment is there.
I'm backing up again because the computer says A5 is a horrible move, but not because white is winning on the spot, but because black missed a move before. The computer loved playing just E5 for black, just making the pawn chain great again and keeping the center together. So this was that the computer thought black should do to maintain a big advantage. And so
And what if
again,
you go back
I think
further than that? Like
yeah,
even
let's back up.
further than that? Because yeah, after, what was it? Takes, yeah, and then B4, King F7, was it?
Yeah, I think this was okay from Fabi. I guess here you're right.
Yeah, yeah,
G5 was
yeah.
also possible.
Yeah,
G5
no, but
and
I
E5
like
were
your
both good.
E5. That makes sense. It's actually makes
Yeah.
more sense than G5. So yeah, I'm with you, Danny. That's a shocking. I don't know. It's an easy move, right? All things considered, gets King E6 and Bishop D5. But I will say, in the live
Yep.
position, Magnus has been sort of talking to himself on the camera. He's, I wouldn't say he's fallen for something, but definitely he didn't have a way, I think, to keep all his pawns defended. And so Fabi has earned that D pawn. Fabi's kind of in the driver's seat at the moment.
Agreed. He is in the driver's seat, still pushing. We're still seeing a lot of blue arrows from the recommendation of the computer. Apparently, you really need to stop the move Rook A7 for white. Fabi does find that one and doesn't allow Magnus Rook A7.
Yeah, E5 is, now it's happening, right? Pawn E5, you can't exist without that move. If B6 happens, where does this rook find shelter? Rook C6, there's bishop B5. So now I start to get concerned about the move pawn to B6. And I'm wondering, do we have to, okay, there you go. Do we have to play rook A7 and rook A8?
Well, what's funny is the computer still loves black position because as pretty as this all looks, it's not actually threatening to queen. Rook A7 is potentially a threat, but black still has the long-term advantage, everybody, with these pawns, and you even have bishop E6 maybe to defend. Uh-oh.
Hang
wait.
on.
No. Now C6. Oh, my gosh. It's turning around.
Bishop E6, C6, rook takes pawn, C7 maybe? And C6 first. Oh, what? Look at this find. He's pre-moving the tactic.
And Fabi leaning in, frustrated there with what in the bleep just happened. Somehow Magnus Carlsen steals victory from the jaws of defeat. Not over yet, but this is his game to win now.
That was a really, really nice tactic. And now the king being separated. Okay, not ideal. Fabi's desperately looking for that fortress if he can find it.
Yeah, and not a lot of time though. So this is not a foregone conclusion. Note that everybody protects everybody here. Everybody. The rook protects the pawn protects the pawn protects the rook. So this is actually not so simple. Okay, but now that Magnus has won the H-pawn, it's, okay, never mind. False alarm.
Now I will say it's gotten simple, but, there were moments there that I think those pawns could have advanced. Wasn't flawless technique. I think that we're starting to see Magnus not quite as confident that we've seen him. He's definitely missing some things this match, and he can queen. There's going to be another queen, and now he's got to convert this all over again. But, should be a win, but we say that cautiously.
It is definitely a win, a theoretical one, but it's not as easy as you think, especially when you don't have a lot of time on the clock. So
not at all.
Yeah, this is, in fact, that e-pawn is kind of irritatingly placed in the middle of the board because often you want to centralize your queen and flex against the rook. And as I'm just kind of thinking through this, it's hard for me to see the ideal setup for white.
Yep. It's not that clear to me. It feels like you need a position where you kind of separate the king from the pawn, like almost the queen on the D file or the F file with the king cut off. And then if the queen could check from the other side here, it would almost be ideal. Yeah, sort of like this, actually. This is the ideal position that I wanted.
Well, and Magnus has kind of muttered to himself a couple of times with a bit of what am I supposed to do here? You have to be very careful. Note that the king has a bunch of landmine squares. If you step forward in the wrong square, there's all kinds of weird stalemate stuff. But he does it. He figures out how to get the king behind the blockade on the second rank.
There's been progress made, clear progress. Look at that. Wins the pawn, and this is what we call elementary. Yep. But Magnus, to some degree, I want to say I think he pretty much just solved that on the fly there. And that's a table-based win, but that's not something you study specifically. I'd be surprised if he's looked at exactly that. A lot of similar positions, but that's quite impressive.
He just missed queen d1, queen d5, forking the king and rook. But okay, he's got it anyway with queen b1. And wow, it was funny. Anyone who's following on chess.com, you would have seen that at some